Yorana, and greetings from Tahiti in French Polynesia, and aloha, greetings from Hawaii. Hi, I'm Larry Gelwix, the getaway guru with Morris Columbus Travel, and we have a wonderful group of people that have set out on a South Seas epic adventure. We flew from the mainland to Papeete, Tahiti. We boarded the NCL Spirit, wonderful cruise ship, on a 12-day cruise. It's an incredible adventure that I'm anxious to share for you. It was Robert Louis Stevenson, the famous Scottish author, that wrote in 1888, as he sailed these very same waters, he wrote this: "There is no part of earth that exerts the same influence upon the human mind as the South Seas." And so I'm anxious to show this to you. On day 2, we visited Raiatea, translated meaning faraway heaven. Raiatea is home of the largest outdoor temple and the very center of cultural beginnings. The island is known for snorkeling and lush green rainforests that circle the extinct volcano Mount Temihau. Now, some of our group had the opportunity to visit a vanilla farm and a pearl farm on the island of Taha'a, which means little vanilla. It's a beautiful boat ride across a colorful lagoon and then jump on 4x4s for a ride around the island. This offered absolutely beautiful views of the lagoon and the big island port of Uturoa. We had the opportunity to visit a black pearl farm, which is somewhat a unique and rare experience. The lagoon water around the pearl farm is perfect for pearl farming. We saw how an oyster is opened and then learned how they are selected for their color, and then a delicate practice of placing a host tissue and a small round nucleus in the oyster, which is then placed in a protected area in the lagoon so that it has time to develop a beautiful pearl. We learned how the pearls are sized and graded and made into beautiful jewelry. The next stop was a working vanilla farm. The long green beans are grown on a plant that requires careful pollination of the small flower at the right time, either by bees or human hands. Some are grown outdoors in rows and some in greenhouses. They're dried outdoors and prepared for sale as a whole bean or ground into various products. The view of Raiatea was beautiful, second largest of the Society Islands. We had the privilege of visiting Bora Bora, named by the famous author James Michener as the single most beautiful island in the world, and I tend to agree with him. The ancient Tahitian name for this island is Pora Pora Maitepora, which translated means created by the gods. Come here and you'll see why. I should mention the sunrise this morning. I think it was the most beautiful sunrise that I can remember. Bora Bora is a major international travel destination. The island is dominated by Mount Otemanu at its highest peak, 2,385 feet. You'll find stunning views of the lagoon, the island, and the mountain. Absolutely beautiful. I should mention that in the evenings while we were sailing, we enjoyed not only great food, but plenty of entertainment options. Day 4 brought us to the beautiful island and one of my favorites, Moorea, translated from Tahitian meaning yellow lizard. Charles Darwin described Moorea as, quote, a picture in a frame, close quote, because of the reefs that surround the main volcanic island and Mount Moaputa. It's perhaps the most photographed mountain in Polynesia. Now, you may remember the 1958 Mitzi Gaynor movie, South Pacific. You know, I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair. Well, you will also recall the legendary Forbidden Island in the movie of Balihai. The mountain that was used as the inspiration in the movie actually exists at Opanohu Bay. There's two great bays on Moorea, Opanohu Bay and Cook's Bay. Interestingly enough, Captain James Cook, on his voyage to the South Pacific, landed at Opanohu Bay, but the other bay was named after him. Moorea is a major tourist island in French Polynesia. Archaeological research is done here. We actually saw a dolphin study area. Everything is here, and I have to tell you that Moorea is the perfect honeymoon or anytime destination. Now, we did some really fun things on Moorea as a group. We took a shark and ray and private motu, motu meaning island. So we followed the coastline, we explored Opanohu Bay, we explored Cook's Bay, and then went to an area where the water's up to about our waist. And we actually swam with sharks and stingrays. Now, the sharks are these black tip, and they're more afraid of you than you are of them. And the stingrays love to come up, just stay away from the tail. You know, everybody got in the water and just had a great time, a lot of fun. Fears were put away very quickly. We continued around the island to a private motu, or island, and there we had entertainment, a fantastic barbecue lunch, time for swimming and snorkeling, and boy, the bell rang and we had to get back to the cruise ship. Moorea is the perfect South Seas paradise. What are your favorite days on an ocean cruise? Is it ports of call, open ocean, or a combination of both? Well, I do like a combination of both, and we visited 4 islands in French Polynesia, part of the Society Islands, which brings us to day 5 through day 8. It was an open water cruise headed north from Moorea, next landfall, the islands of Hawaii. Now, there was no land in sight, but beautiful water and so much fun. You know, here on the cruise, they talk about feel free at sea, and that's exactly the mindset that we had. Now, we had really calm water, beautiful sunrises, gorgeous sunsets. The NCL staff, Norwegian Cruise Line, I thought went out of their way to make everybody comfortable, and they did a great job with the dining options. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner was always an enjoyable treat. And to add to that, there's a variety of entertainment, something for everyone, not only in the afternoon, but kind of highlighted in the evening in the theaters and entertainment venues. Now, one thing that I did as the host of the tour is I organized some seminars. We had 2 Sunday devotionals, non-denominational. Now, on one Monday, I gave a background of the movie Forever Strong. I'm told that's a pretty good film about a pretty good guy. Anyway, the movie Forever Strong, we viewed it and had a Q&A. As you may know, the movie centers on my coaching career of the Highland rugby team. Tuesday was a seminar, a winning record of 418 wins and just 10 losses, including 20 national championships over 36 years. How does this happen? How do you stay at the top of your game? Well, I speak to corporation seminars and conventions all the time, and that's exactly what we did on a Tuesday morning here aboard the ship. You know, the Days at Sea was a great opportunity for the Morris Columbus Travel Group to gather, establish friendships, renew friendships. Now, one of the highlights was almost the countdown to cross the equator. But they have this equator ritual on cruise ships that's fun to watch. Guests and crew are selected to take the parts of King Neptune and his bride, who officially initiate the polywogs. Now, a polywog is a person who has never crossed the equator before. And what's the initiation? Well, they get doused with water and they're made to kiss a fish. It's a lot of fun. It is voluntary. Nobody has to do it, but it's a 400-year-old tradition dating back from the British Royal Navy. On the days at sea, there is no shortage of things to do, and that's what I love about cruising. You can be as laid back or as active as you want to be. There's games to be played, there's shooting hoops, there's group activities, seminars, classes, wellness opportunities to meet with the trainers. There's a gym, exercise deck, walking and jogging tracks, pools and hot tubs, but the best is the awesome views on both sides of the ship. After 4 days at sea, we make landfall on the big island of Hawaii. Our scheduled stop in Hilo was unavailable, so we sailed to the west side of the island to Kailua-Kona and found some pretty fun things to see and do. Now, we dropped anchor just off Kailua-Kona and took a tender, which is a lifeboat, to the shore. Many enjoyed strolling along Ali'i Drive. It's a waterfront walk that goes for some distance with a myriad of shops and restaurants, activities, things to do. There's also some beaches right there. Some decided on a guided tour of some of the more notable points of interest, including the Queen's Palace, the Greenwell Coffee Plantation, where they could taste the distinctive Kona coffee, world famous, and see how the beans are grown and made into distinctive blends. Now, the beans this time of year are very small, but do grow to maturity when they're harvested. It's fun to see the fruit growing spontaneously at houses, farms, and in the wild: bananas, avocados, mangoes, coconuts, and others. A fun stop taking you back to some of the pioneer times of Hawaii is St. Benedict's Roman Catholic Church, sometimes known as the Painted Church, a prominent site in the area. We found the flowers and vegetation to be amazing. You know, there's so many things to do on the west side of the island, and a fun place for me to visit is the City of Refuge. Now, the ancient Hawaiians had a kapu law, where certain laws, if broken, resulted in immediate punishment if the violator could get to this temple area called the City of Refuge before he or she was captured and punished. All was forgiven. You see a lot of outrigger canoes in the bay and in the ocean. Kailua-Kona is a delightful visit on the dry side of the island, and that area gets more sunshine than any other spot in the Hawaiian Islands. Now, what I do recommend is have a knowledgeable and experienced tour guide. We got very lucky with Ellswood, a fifth-generation Hawaiian, and not only showing you the island, his perspective, but he could make traditional things from palm branches, and he does it right in front of you. One of the most interesting was taking some palm branch and kind of placing it strategically in his mouth where he could whistle like songbirds. And then you've seen those woven mat hats. Well, he made one right in front of us and gave it to Ron Francis. Kailua-Kona, the big island of Hawaii, is a must-see on your next trip to the islands. Day 10 brought us to the beautiful island of Maui. Kahului was our next port of call. Now, what's nice about Kahului is a very short walk took visitors to shopping malls, to grocery stores where we could restock for our cruise. Some travelers jumped on the Maui bus system and saw general sights around the island. Some even traveled as far as Lahaina, where the devastating fire damage can still be seen. The Maui Ocean Center is one of the most important visitor sites on the island, provided some fascinating views of aquatic life here in Hawaii. I particularly liked the reef exhibit, which showed marine life at different depths of the reef. The sea turtle exhibit explained the conservation efforts on the island of Maui. And a 3D panorama film featured whale research. Maui has so many beautiful beaches and waterfronts for recreation, fishing, and all aquatic sports. Kauai is probably my favorite island, and I've enjoyed the many times I visited here. As the Morris Columbus Travel Group opted for a tour of the islands, we took them through the sugarcane fields, which at one time dominated almost all available land on the island of Kauai. Our next stop was the famous blowhole, where waves crash against the rocks and shoot water high into the air. Our drive took us through the scenic village of Hanapepe. I think maybe the highlight for all of us was going up to Waimea Canyon, known as the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. It reminds me of the Grand Canyon, but it's covered in green and foliage and trees, and you see waterfalls lacing the various canyons. It was fun coming down and stopping in the small town of Waimea, mixing with the locals, enjoying shave ice or a sandwich at one of the local diners. Early this morning, we actually left the harbor of Nauwiliwili, Kauai. It was kind of fun to see another cruise ship lined up to enter the harbor and visit the island of Kauai. As we sailed to the north side of the island and the famous Na Pali coast. Now, the Na Pali coast is only accessible by foot or boat. There's a 11-mile stretch. You can hike the first 2 miles from the end of the road at Ha'ana and hike into Hanakapiai Beach. It's kind of fun too. From Hanakapiai Beach, there's a trail 2 miles inland to a 300-foot waterfall that I have swam under, Hanakapiai Falls. As we disembark, we travel various ways, and some are able to see the famous Pearl Harbor Monument. Honolulu and the island of Oahu have something for just about everything. Then off to the airport as we leave the islands of Aloha and head home. On behalf of Morris Columbus Travel and my wife Kathy and I, we're grateful to have shared this South Seas Odyssey experience with you. It's been a very convivial group, a very friendly group as we sailed from Tahiti to Bora Bora, Raiatea, Moorea, then through the vast reaches of the Pacific Ocean, crossing the equator. We then visited the Big Island, Maui, Kauai, and finally our journey brings us to the island of Oahu. How do they say thank you in Tahiti? Maruru. And here in Hawaii, mahalo. Safe travels.
Washi, washi, happy, happy, swally, swally, with somebody. Washi, washi, happy, happy, swally, swally, hold that time. Washy washy, happy happy, smiley smiley, hold it tight.